Welcome to the RV Game Changer Show with Uncle Bernie. If you're interested in RVs as a consumer, service provider, or as a manufacturer of RVs, this show is for you. Here we talk to RV experts, RV manufacturers, lifestyle influencers, service providers, charitable organizations, and component providers with a sole purpose to make RVing more fun and exciting and easier for you and your family. Please subscribe to RV Game Changer with Uncle Bernie on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Of course, find us by searching at RV Game Changer on YouTube. Let's see what we can do to make your life better this week on RV Game Changer. Safety should be on the mind of every RVer. Today on RV Game Changer, we will be visited by Martin Neizen. He resides in a distant land of the Netherlands in Northern Europe. We spoke on RV Game Changer about 6 months ago, but it's just about camping season here in New England, and I think it's time we talk about propane safety again. He is the co-founder of GasStop. For the last 9 years, this company has been producing extraordinary safety products for appliances and components which utilize propane. Let's take a look at a video that his company has produced.
Let's get back.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Martin Neizen of GasStop Global. Martin, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Bernie. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit of why that video kind of strikes home in a lot of folks, right? It seems like they're doing all the other little things to take care of their family and all that. Tell us the concept behind building that video.
Yeah, it's actually quite funny. I'm going to respond on that. Great question. When we first started, we want to make a video to show what families do when they go out camping or leave their home and they stop for the traffic light, they close their door from their homes and lock it, and they do all these things in a like normal, usual way. And what about your propane, right? So we thought we are going to make this concept of it's quite normal to do all these things that you used to, but if it comes down to propane, you're not protected. So why not? But actually watching this video when you started it, I thought of an American, beautiful human being named Patrick Delaney. And Patrick made a video in 7 seconds and was like viewed like 1 million times. So that's actually quite funny. We worked on this video you just showed for weeks to get a script done, and you know how it goes. And it's a beautiful video. It's still working, but these days we have people that make videos in 7 or 12 seconds, making very clear what GasStop does. Funny.
You know, it's amazing. Everyone has a different perception, and they get that information in different ways. But social media is a brilliant thing, and really helps people get the information that they need. So, it seems like it's not just RVers, but many of us have gas appliances in the house, right? We have hot water heaters and furnaces, may have a gas stove, or maybe something else. You have a gas grill outside in the house, so you can do all that grilling. But RV is, it is really integral as part of the operations of an RV. Like I said, the gas stove, the hot water heater, or something like that. Tell us a little bit about what the GasStop devices do and why it's so important that we maybe consider something like this for our RV.
Yeah, so the main thing is that GasStop actually shuts off 100% when you have a major leak. So if you are an RVer and you use propane and you do not have any safety, So to consider have no safety or 100% shut off in case of a major leak, it's a no-brainer, right?
Right.
It's mechanical built. It doesn't need batteries or power supply, so it will always function 24/7. So it's also a great peace of mind. And with that said, we are trying to let the people know that you easily can do a minor leak test, and that's a very important thing as well, because especially in an RV, people travel on bumpy roads, and you can easily create a minor leak while traveling like miles on the road.
Right, right. So, all right. So I'm going to bring up the product here. Tell us a little bit about the components that are integrated in this relatively small piece of equipment, and how they might be able to detect a leak.
Yeah, so that's a very good question. Thank you. So in this device, it looks very simple, but it's a very complex device. What we actually are doing inside of this device, there is a little ball bearing in the middle hovering on the flow rate. So when the gas goes through the gas stop and it suddenly like excels, it speeds up more than normal usage, it will pick up that ball bearing and shuts off the whole system. So this
Oh,
is the
wow.
reason we are not relying on any springs or other materials, and this is the reason why GasStop always will function when you have a major leak. And this is also why we explicitly say GasStop shuts off at a major leak, and you can test for minor leaks. I can explain that later if you want to.
Yeah, that was kind of shown in that video ever so slightly. They had a diagram of that ball bearing inside when he was pumping it. And tell me a little bit about that pumping action to open up the valve.
Yeah, so what we need to do is actually push the gauge down to get the ball bearing in the middle of the flow rate. If you just pump it once or twice, the ball bearing is hovering more on the top of the flow rate. So if you then have like a quick acceleration or a huge bump in the road, it will shut off. So it's very important that it goes really seriously deep into the system, like in the middle. So that's why we say you need to pump like 4 to 6 times, and then it will work. It works actually as the Bernoulli principles, or like how an airplane flies in the air. It's
Oh, okay.
very, very smart. It's very simple, but it always works. It's a bit old-fashioned, but we like that.
Yeah, we like things that are just mechanically sound, something that's relatively simple in the design, but because of the way it's designed, it's sound, and that ball bearing gets back into the right place when it needs to. Now, it seems to me, based on that little video, and it was quick blink of an eye, is that so you press the top that gauge down 3 times, it sets that ball bearing down lower, and then if the gas starts flowing too quickly, it sucks it back up in there and closes that valve off, right? Is that basically what's going on?
Exactly. That is well put. The beauty of being able to pump the gauge again is that you can solve the problem and use the gas stop again. So you fix the problem. When that is fixed, you can use the gas stop again. And we test them also, and you get a 5-year warranty. So you can endlessly use your gas stop and staying safe.
So that brings up a good point. If you have a safety device, it's good to know that safety device has been tested, and there's checks and balances in the manufacturing process to make sure it's safe. What are some of the things you do to test that?
So we have 3 different tests. So in and outgoing pressure, and we also we test on many things. But it's like we created a test machine in the where we produce, and as soon as that device has been tested, there is a little QR code an individual code going under the product. There's on every gas stop there is an individual code. And that proves us all the data of the testing is going in that QR code, so we can prove that it's been tested and it's okay. So we know that every gas stop that goes to market is well made, is functioning well, and that's the reason why we give this 5-year warranty.
Oh, that's fantastic. I wonder what caused you and your colleagues to come up with this idea and make a product of this nature?
That's very interesting. So I went on a holiday years ago. Went to Spain, and I was at a swimming pool. And I'm a former army guy. I went to the Dutch Royal Netherlands Marine Corps, and in that pool was a very nice gent, and he was a Marine from Scandinavia. So we had an awesome afternoon, and then he invited me to a barbecue. On that evening, I took my wife and my kids, and on that evening, I actually met the inventor of my colleague of this product, and we talked all night and until late. We had a couple of beers, but we discussed it.
The best ideas come from that, right?
Yeah, so true. And we will never forget that night. And I was actually surprised that the market didn't have a gas propane safety device. So I went back home, and he is from England. I went back home and I thought, I'm going to investigate, I'm going to search for it. And yeah, every day after that, I couldn't find anything. And so a long story short, we started working together. We started in the Netherlands and went through Germany, Sweden, you name it, England. And 4 or 5 years ago, I wanted to go to America. That was a big dream. And here we are.
Fantastic. Well, it's really great that you've been able to come up with this great invention that's going to be keeping so many families safe.
Thank you.
Let's talk about a real world scenario. Say, for instance, you have an older camper. The hoses look good, but over time, there might be a spot underneath where the hose or the pipe, depending on what camper you have, there's been friction along the way, and something is happening and that you don't really realize. Tell us how the GasStop product could help with a situation that could arise from one of those circumstances.
Yeah, so first of all, what we try to explain to the RVer is put GasStop on your checklist. And as soon as you arrive at your new destination, do a minor leak test. And it's quite simple. You just go to, because we advise do not use your propane while driving. A lot of people forget, a lot of people do have the cylinder open. We know that. But for a normal situation, when you come to your new destinations, just open the cylinder, prime the GasStop, and close the cylinder again. As soon as you trap the gas in the system, you just look at the needle on the gauge. You come back in 10-15 minutes, and when the needle at that gauge is still at the same spot, you don't have any leak. Even you don't have a minor leak as well. So if you do that, you're probably going to don't have any issues with your example when you have creating a tiny leak or something is going on with your system, because if you check it more often, you are closer to discover a minor leak. If it would pop or burst, or it will see it as a major leak and it will shut down instantly. It will. We actually have in Europe we have totally different rules. We have standardization. We are not allowed to have propane lines under the vehicles. When I go to a fair, a show in America, I see all these RVs with the lines hanging under the vehicles. To me, that's we need to solve that. So especially because a lot of dirt and everything on the road,
debris or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It could be a stick that you kicked up when you drove over it, and you could be hitting that hose. Yeah,
exactly. And we all know that if you put you do your installation and you want to have a couple of weeks on a beautiful spot, you always have in the back of your mind, how's my propane system doing? Is that still safe? Do a check and you have great peace of mind. And I got a good story on that one. We were at the show in Tampa, and this gentleman came to us, and he said, "I got a story. I have your product." And they were with 5 fifth wheels, and they were positioned around a campfire, and they all had a beer, and it was like they had a lot of fun. And suddenly somebody smelled propane. And imagine this moment of 5 fifth wheels around the campfire, and people started smelling propane, running around their expensive RVs, and nobody knew where the propane was coming from. And this guy went to his rig, and he looked at his gas stop, and he said, "It's not me." But then the hero moment came. He took off his gas stop and went to the other fifth wheels, and then they discovered where the leak was.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's a great example of not protecting yourself. You're protecting your family, but also your neighbors. And we all know that it can be crowded on a campsite. So there was a beautiful story. We actually used it also on social media, because these are the things, right? How on earth are you going to discover where the propane leak is? And he just took the device and did a test by I think the third or so, and it was spot on, and they discovered the leak.
That's fantastic. And I like the idea of just making that part of your routine. So when you get to the campsite, you can do that quick little test. And again, you turn the gas on, and then you turn the gas off, and it kind of locks that gas. So you're not wasting gas or anything like that.
No.
And then you can just check the meter reading at that moment, and then you can check it later on. And it's also very handy when you think about it. Just knowing what kind of gas levels you have, so whether or not you need to get that tank refilled pretty soon, when you're going to be switching over to the other tank or whatever it may be. That's a brilliant little gadget. But I love the idea of someone taking it off and then reapplying it to the other RVs in that neighborhood. That is just an amazing story. And it goes to show you the nature of RVers in general, but also the flexibility and capabilities of your product. That's wonderful.
It's you're mentioning something, and I would love to explain.
Sure.
I got the device that you have on the background.
Yeah.
This is the gauge, right? And there are a lot of people asking us, how on earth can you measure propane? And you can't. So you cannot see how much gas is in your tank. It's impossible, because the pressure is constantly changing. There are all kinds of elements that make this needle go up and down.
Okay.
So what this actually does is, people need to read it as follow, is that you have yellow, green, and red. There is, in your cylinder, there is a liquid of gas, and above the liquid there is the gas. So as soon as that liquid is liquid as long as the liquid is liquid in the cylinder, the needle will be in the green, and that shows you have pressure. And as long the needle is in the green, you can cook for hours. When the liquid drops and is gone in the cylinder, only gas is left. That's the moment in the tank that the pressure drops significantly. And that's the moment when the needle goes into the red, and then you know, oh, this is the last 20, 30 minutes. I need to swap my tank. When you got an overpressure, when there is too much gas, fluid and gas in the cylinder, when it's very hot outside, it will go as a warning in the yellow, and you need to put a cover on, or you need to put it out of the sun. So this is how you read a pressure gauge. This is a pressure gauge. And it's very good to understand, because on the internet, on social media, there are a lot of pressure gauges. We are the only ones that have this 100% shut off, but these pressure gauges can't read exactly how much gas is in your tank. That's impossible. So it's good to mention, and it's good to know.
Oh, I appreciate the knowledge, and I think we all need to kind of put that in the back of our minds. So that gauge is basically reading overpressure, normal pressure, or a significant drop in pressure.
Exactly.
Now, is there going to be a time when that gauge shuts itself off when the pressure drops too low in that particular tank?
No.
Okay. So it has to be like an urgent pressure change, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So we all have our regulator, right? And the regulator is making sure there is a constant flow of gas through the system, right? That's the reason why the regulator is there, to transport the gas from the cylinder, where you have like a very high pressure to a low pressure, right? That's the reason why the regulator is there. And
Right.
these are the products also. It's there is a little like rubber inside of the regulator, and that can be damaged quite easily. It could be the gas, when you have dirty gas, all kinds of reason that a regulator can have a failure. And yeah, that's also another reason why you should have a gas stop.
All right, fantastic. Let's talk a little bit about, I know, so this, but how these things are installed. So the one that is behind me and the one that you have in your hand, how is that installed? Does it go directly to the propane tank, and then you screw the existing hose onto the gas stop, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then the regulators after that.
Exactly. It depends a little bit on how your system works, but that's exactly right. So this goes onto the cylinder, and here is the hose. So your hose is here.
Okay, so that's pretty easy. It's not rocket science.
Yes,
Now,
correct.
you just mentioned a 90-degree hose. How would you use that, and why do you might need something like that?
Yeah, so imagine that if you put this on your cylinder, that this piece, and I'm talking in Europe in centimeters, but and you guys,
Okay.
I apologize not knowing the right measurement. But if you put this on the cylinder, and you put the hose here, you have just a straight pigtail, like a normal pigtail. It will go out here. So see it as an extension on your cylinder. So we got questions from airstreamers and people with fifth wheels, people that have tight spaces. We love the gas stop. We want the gas stop. If people know about gas stop, they want safety, right? It's great peace of mind, and you don't want to travel without it. So we cannot make this device smaller. So our team, engineers, figured out that why not making a hose that is actually 90 degrees. So we went back with a 90-degree hose, and I'm very proud to announce that we have patented the hose. So I'm very proud of that in America. And now can fit the gas stop with a 90-degree hose. The hoses are called from Gas Gear by GasStop. And yeah, so if you have an Airstream and you put the gas stop on, you put the 90-degree hose on, you can put the cover over it perfectly. What we never thought of is that actually if you have a propane hose with a 90-degree angle, you don't need to bend the hose so much. So we therefore also give a 2-year warranty. Discover that you don't need to bend our hoses so much, so it's a longer lifespan.
Oh yeah, a lot less stress on the hose as a
Exactly.
result, and then, like you said, a lot more lifespan. Let's talk about some of the other products that you carry. And I just took these pictures offline, so I don't know what they do. So let's figure out that. But where does this one fit in?
Yeah, so that's for a fixed tank in a Class A or a Class C. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And again, it could just be attached in line to the regular system that's there.
Yes, sir.
All right. And then this one is just exactly how you would use it on an RV as well. This one looks like to be a little bit of a different size.
No, it's exactly how the American Acme is installed directly on the cylinder.
Okay.
And in this case, you see a regulator going straight on the gas stop, like it's in front of the hose. 95% is like in the vehicle, so the regulator is not there where you see it at this picture, but it can be a setup.
Yeah,
But
if I have a grill, my regulator is kind of built into the grill side
yeah,
of things, and so you wouldn't be seeing it like that. Yeah.
that's actually very good that you mentioned this, because it's very good to know that gas stop will protect your high pressure side, your regulator, but also your low pressure side. So, and that's unique. So GasStop protects your whole system. So the high pressure side is everything in front of the regulator. So the
Right.
first part after the cylinder, then you have the regulator, and after the regulator, that's called the lower part of the system. So
Right.
it protects the high pressure side, but also the low pressure side. Whenever you have a major leak, it will shut down 100%.
Yeah. So if there was a cut in the hose on the low pressure side, that would still operate as normal and shut off as needed.
Exactly.
Fantastic. This just shows that other product installed in line on a stationary tank.
Yeah, there's a fixed tank. Yeah.
Now, is there anything else that GasStop provides as different components or accessories that might benefit the RV?
I'm now actually thinking about the American market because we have, you showed it, the Acme, we have the POL, that's for the fixed tank. We do have for the Airstreamers, we have a little adapter that is a 1/4 inch. It's just a tiny device that we provide. No, so those two devices, and we have a massive success with the braided hoses, the 90-degree ones, and we have those in 12 inch and 18 inch. So that's the program for now in the USA.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, those braided hoses are very well built, and there's a lot more, reinforcement built into them. Now, because if someone does have a gas stop on their propane tanks, they don't need any extra protection, say, at a quick connect on the outside of the coach. You're still covered, right?
Again, Bernie, very good questions, because this is also good to mention. And we have a user manual that is quite long, but it's actually quite good to read it. And we understand a lot of people don't read it at all. We have this information on our website. We have a beautiful website, very informative website. But you can understand, if you have just a portable cylinder, there is a maximum distance, right? And some people have on the quick connector on the outside, huge length of propane hoses.
Could be 20 or 30 feet away.
Yeah, so we, in the description in the user manual on the website, you can actually find out at what length, because there is a maximum, right? There is a maximum of shutting off. If some people have like crazy length. So it's good to mention that, actually. But in normal use, it will shut off. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
All right. I would imagine that's something, you said you made some 1/4 inch adapters for Airstream and things like that. So maybe that would be applicable in that scenario?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Great. Well, this has been amazing. Now, at one point you mentioned to me in a different discussion, you work with the WLPGA. Now, that's not a golf league, is it?
No. It's a worldwide organization where all the LP gas people come together. And for me, from the Netherlands, as a very tiny country, it was very hard to actually get in there. And those are the you can always go back to them and ask the expert the right way, the questions that you maybe can't answer, or you want to find out. And especially if you are developing products, then it's very good to have these people surrounding you with a lot of knowledge coming from all kinds of directions. And for a couple of years, I represented my country in the European Standard Commission. And that was the moment that I came these people across, and I'm proud to have them in my network.
For sure. That must be a tremendous resource to be able to, hey, we're developing a new product. Have you had any experience with this kind of scenario? And I'm sure you get some great information. This is a wonderful product, everybody. If you haven't heard about GasStop before, you really want to make it part of your repertoire and part of your accessories with your RV. It creates an incredible peace of mind while you're using all your gas appliances. And even when you're not, when you're sleeping, right? You could have a rodent chew a hole in one of these gas hoses on the outside for whatever reason they might want to chew on something and create a serious gas leak. and this is going to protect you against those types of things. Or if you're traveling and a stone comes up and hits one of those exposed gas lines and you don't realize it and you go to turn it on and there's gas blowing out from all different directions, you want something that's going to respond extremely quickly and shut that off and reduce the risk of a catastrophic issue, right?
Exactly. It's a lot of times that when I am at shows that people say, yeah, I'm traveling for 20 years, over 20 years, and I never had an issue with propane. And the thing is that when I explain to the people, I'm not going to scare people, but it happens too often, too many times. In your country is like over 25,000 RV fires a year. I always say, I ask the people, do you drive a car? And if they say yes, then I ask them, do you have an airbag? And they say yes. And then I ask them, did you ever use it? And then they say no, but you are happy it's in there, right? And they all say yes. There we go.
There you go. Martin, thank you so much for joining us today on RV Game Changer. We're going to spread the good word about GasStop and all your products. And tell us a little bit just about how people can see your products and where they can buy them.
So best is to go to my our website, www, and then GasStopUSA.com. And people can choose where to buy it from. And we have, of course, we have our products on sale on Amazon.
Fantastic. It's been lovely seeing you again, and I keep up the good work. I love hearing that it's becoming more and more popular, and people are sharing the wisdom behind the concept of GasStop all over the world. Have a nice day.
Thank you for having me.
Today's episode of RV Game Changer is brought to you by RVing Today TV. If you're looking for RV Game Changer or anything to do with RVing and camping, you'll bet you'll find it on RVing Today TV. Visit rvgtoday.tv, where you'll find a list of stations and networks carrying their shows, along with additional stories, news, and contests. To get a hold of me, go to RV Game Changer on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Have a great day and God bless.